All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube page and BuffaloPlus.com. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. The Bills picking up another win in the desert as Buffalo now 9-3 on the season. They beat the 49ers 34-24. Mike, Josh Allen had himself a game, 375 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Hey, what'd you think?
Yeah, we talk about this a lot with how is Josh going to play and how are the Bills going to get quarterback play related to the other team. And this is one you come into and go, look, Dan said it before the game. I mean, it's Josh Allen against Nick Mullins, right? And he didn't just beat him, he beat him to a pulp. I mean, Mullins looked like Mullins, he made a few nice plays, but the better quarterback dominated the game. You know who does that? Patrick Mahomes does that. Aaron Rodgers does that. Russell Wilson does that. So Josh did what a star quarterback is supposed to do. He dominated a team, actually a pretty good defense, and he dominated them last night.
Dan, what do you think?
To me, it was the type of performance that I want to see every week. The Bills started out, they tried to run the ball a couple times. I hated it. It just was ugly. This was a game that I wanted Josh Allen to throw the ball 45 plus times, and he shined at doing that every time he dropped back. The offensive line not getting enough credit here because of the game that Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs had. The offensive line was incredible. Josh Allen had great pocket presence, but he was pretty much all alone with all kinds of time to allow his receivers to get open. They were great. Again, the Bills were underdogs somehow in this game, and they dominated from start to finish. They scored on 6 straight possessions after the Zach Moss fumble, 4 of them being touchdowns. But guys, this was just an example of the bright lights were not too bright for Josh Allen and this Bills team.
Yeah, and that's something that I know as the Bills approach the end of December, and then also this month in general, having 3 games on national TV, I think a lot of people were concerned about as the pressure continues to ramp up. But Dan, you mentioned that Zach Moss fumble. Mike, the response that you saw from Buffalo, they were able to pick it up, Josh Allen scoring, Sean McDermott going for it on 4th down. Like, that's something that a couple years ago, I don't think we would have saw that, or at least it wouldn't have been that immediate.
No, you're right. We wouldn't have seen it last year either. I mean, they were a good team last year. This is different. And Sean McDermott thinks of them differently. I mean, This was a guy who used to punt at the 42-yard line, right? But he doesn't do that anymore. He's got the quarterback. He trusts him. And I do believe between he and Brian Daboll, they call plays and they look at it like they have confidence in going for it on 4th down. And I think when a team changes into that mode, things just get better. Allen knows they have confidence in him. You can call plays on 3rd down knowing you're in likelihood going to go for it on 4th down. And they're certainly not afraid to put it in Josh's hands in those moments. Was it perfect? No.
Pretty
I'm
close.
not exactly sure what else Josh could have done. Yeah. But they, again, a dominant performance where, what did we talk about at the beginning of the year? We wanted to see games where the passing game with Josh Allen just took control. They did it in the Seattle game, and they did it in this game. And what I liked about it was they did it on the road. I know it was in Arizona and all, and it wasn't a home field, but they did it in a way that was a physical Niners team that came out to punch him in the mouth. And the Bills punched him right back, and then Allen just picked him apart up and down the field.
I thought it was telling the fact that, Mike, I think you tweeted at one point, you go for it on 4th down because it's 2020. Like that's what you have to do in the NFL nowadays. Like there's no settling for field goals, just doesn't cut it. And to have the belief now, especially in the defense with the way they're playing better, I know it's situational because the Bills took the lead, but they held the 49ers, that ground and pound team that everybody said, well, there's no way they're going to be able to stop the Niners running attack. Well, they held them to 86 yards rushing. I understand Nick Mullins had to throw the ball because of situational and the circumstances, but that was still a physical team, and the Bills were equally up to the task. They can throw the ball, they can out-finesse you, they can trick play you, but they can also get in a ring with you and just throw haymakers in a heavyweight match. And that was something to me. I didn't know if I would see that today.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then also, I think when you look at it and the Bills defense, there were some plays where it was like, ooh, are the 49ers going to creep back in this one? There were some garbage time stats, the score. I thought when the Bills defense needed to, they stepped up in those critical moments, Mike.
Yeah. Well, Micah Hyde got the interception on the deflection, and that led to a field goal. And then Trey White, and that was big just because, you don't want to let somebody back in the game They've seen it happen in that stadium before. They didn't want it to happen again. And Trey just stole the ball. And you're starting to see he's gotten picks. I think, 3 in the last 4 games that he's gotten a pick. And they're making plays. I guess that is the biggest thing. I saw Tremaine Edmonds make plays tonight. Darryl Johnston, especially in the run game. Nice to see that. Ed Oliver getting the bull rush going. And they fought in this game, and I like those goal line situations. I like the short yardage situations. And look, Nick Mullins is Nick Mullins, but they dominated him in this game. You know what I mean? Like, the Niners just beat the Rams. I mean, you can say what you want about them owning the Rams, but Mullins won that game. Like he can be effective at times. They toyed with him, I thought, in this game, and the better team won. The better quarterback won. And they're 9-3. And Jenna, Dan, when you watch them play like this, Jenna, you mentioned it to me in the game. You feel something about this team. I know it's the Niners, but when you see them play like this, okay, who's next? The Steelers? Let's go. Yeah. Get ready for the playoffs. Let's go. Because I think, they look like one of those teams this year.
Yeah, just to see them put it together on the national stage, and every team is good and wants to get better as the season gets closer to an end. And I did say that because I felt like you saw every unit be able to step up when they needed to. The defense with those 2 interceptions, the 2 takeaways, Josh Allen, the Bills able to convert on 4th down, the touchdowns that we saw from Josh, and just some of the passes. I mean, he looks like every year. I know we talk about moving the goalposts back for Josh. And I feel like from week to week, we have done that throughout this season. But to just see him continue to make those strides, and look, it's not always going to be perfect, but he gives this team a hell of a great chance. And I think when you see that, it's always encouraging, especially as the season progresses.
Yeah, and 2 things. I agree, Jenna, that he looked every bit of a top 10 quarterback, a franchise quarterback. But he threw to a lot of wide open guys, and you have to tip your cap there to Brian Daboll, because the Isaiah McKenzie play, some of the other plays. I mean, Josh made a couple of really high-level throws, don't get me wrong. But Brian Daboll had Robert Saleh, who is a very good defensive coordinator, a top 10 defense, in shock. It was the great cutaway, Jenna, you tweeted out of just pain of after what happens. And they go to cutaway with him, and he's just like, what? Like Richard Sherman, at times, Gabe Davis is going behind him, and Richard Sherman's pointing to the safety. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, that was what the game plan was. That was phenomenal. And we talked about last week. They didn't play their A game. They were still able to win, still scored 27 points, get out of there with the W. This was pretty close to their A game. And they said they still left meat on the bone. Like, that is still saying, like, hey, we played our A game, but we still have an A+ game. And we still have an A++ game too. Like, they made mistakes. They got stopped on the opening drive at the 1-yard line. Then they fumbled it. But then they absolutely, took over after that. So a lot of positives to take away this game. Probably their best complete game of the year. That makes you think one playoff win, maybe another, kind of moving forward.
The Bills bald guy was better than the Niners bald guy.
What analysis.
Well said.
Right? Come on.
Is that going to be the headline of
Why
the
not?
Of this blog?
Yeah. No, Daboll did. Daboll was great. He had a great game.
Oh, I didn't know if you were talking about Sean.
Oh no, I was talking. Yeah, God, so many bald guys. I'm sorry. Let me fix my hair. No, but the other thing I was thinking was, you mentioned the open throws, but how about the throw to Gabe Davis? And Davis coming back on the ball. Josh had a couple of spectacular throws. And it's funny, when you watch it every week now, you just sort of get used to him hanging in the pocket, and then the one he threw to Beasley in the right sidelines. He just whips the ball 30 yards down the field. Beasley gets his feet in. He did make some
pocket and the pressure, all of that. Yeah, I tweeted out like, "Hello, nation. This is Josh Allen," because I feel like if you're not familiar with the Bills, there's a lot of outside narrative. And look, some of that heat Josh Allen absolutely should own, because that is a part of his game, and we've seen that. But I thought once again tonight, under the pressure of prime time, it was flashes of Dallas for sure.
Well, it was funny, Mike, you talk about that throw to Gabe Davis that was over the linebacker in front of the safety that Gabe Davis came back to. And we talked about times Josh playing the hero ball, and that causes problems. That throw was almost the heat check. That was like the step pulling up from like 35 because he threw it and even kind of like jumped while the ball was in the air, like, ooh, I think that one's good.
Look at
and
this.
Complete, like that was one where it's like, don't shoot that. Swish, great shot. Like, absolutely. So it was a really cool to see, again, that progression. And then after the game, it's calm, cool, collected Josh of it's no big deal. We know who we are, which is just another day. But this was another statement on the national stage after, kind of getting that bad taste of their mouth out of Tennessee and Kansas City.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have more coverage of the game, including post-game interviews on buffaloplus.com, as well as on the YouTube page. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thanks so much for watching.